In this climate, we are making connections with the art of dating. This is the news edition brought to you by the host, Juana Charisse. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Look at me trying to maneuver through technical difficulties. My name is Juana Charisse. Hello. How are you today? And you are listening to the Feel Good and watching and seeing and witnessing the Feel Good, the so feel good news, where I talk to someone who tells me about a wonderful time that they had, who talks about the meeting that they had with someone that was so memorable that they just had to tell us about it. You know, what actually happens, ladies and gentlemen, is that we focus so much on the negativity. We focus so much on, dag, it's too hot, man, it's raining. We focus so much on, holy smokes, I had a relationship and I can't stand my ex. We focus so much on, that wasn't so good, but this might be a little bit better. We focus so much on the negativity, and we are about making connections. And remember the connection that you made with someone, that perfect, beautiful bond when your stomach was doing the flips and your heart was beating a little more and you texted 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Do you remember that? Do y'all remember that? When you were texting to 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you had to get up for work. And you were like, but you got up and you went to work and you were happy and you couldn't wait until the next time that you heard from the person. Do you remember those particular connections? And then something went wrong. Something kind of just went wrong, right? Maybe the other person stopped with their representatives did not come through, or you recognized the representative and you knew that that was a representative, or your representative, come on, let's keep it really real, let's keep it really, really green, your representative couldn't take it no more and you just had to come out of yourself. Remember those relationships where you remember when you was just like, nah, this just not working. When all the red flags were building up in the closet and then just busted right through. You remember that? As I wore my red today, but not for red flag. But this red is for blood, for solidarity, for life, for love. That's what I wore the red for today. But do you remember? Do you remember when you had that connection and then something went wrong and you knew you wasn't supposed to be there with that person, but you decided to make it fit? You was trying to fit that round peg in that triangular, small, teeny tiny space, but you kept trying to fit it in. Do you remember that? Well, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the greater things. Remember when you met a person and things didn't work out, but you still remembered what that person might have did for you. Do you remember? What we're doing today here on AOD, what we're doing is focusing in on the beauty of the connection, of the memory of the connection that you'll never forget. Today in this studio, I got for you, my special treat, my main man. His name is Kortez, one of my favorite artists in the whole widest world. Kortez is going to give you just a little bit about what he had. We call this one the Urban Aqua Connection, because that's basically what was going on, the Urban Aqua Connection. And we're going to slide in here and talk to him right now. Come on.
Things that I really treasure with this whole experience is articulating what happened. My wife Bridget usually tells it a lot better, so I'm going to do my best. But what ended up We met at an IHOP. Our waitress was, her name was Reality. So that was something. And we spoke maybe about 10 minutes on Urban League stuff. And then right away we went into um, our interest, our signs, our birthday, that sort of thing. And so one of the things we found out was we both loved Marvel comics. So initially, that sit down wasn't a date. So what I did was to be ask her what she was doing for New Year's Eve.
So I have been told by my beautiful audience, thank y'all for telling me that you cannot hear Cortez's beautiful story. Okay, so I've been having running some technical difficulties all night. Well, not all night, but this has been for a couple of days, and I'm really perplexed on why we can't hear my man, but y'all can hear me. Is that correct? Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm thinking maybe because I muted myself that is what happened. So we're gonna run this back. We're gonna start it over because you guys need to hear what Cortez has to say. I mean, it's a beautiful daggone story, and I got it just for you. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Sugar Nut. Thank you, Sugar Nut. Thank you, Kayla. Listen to what Cortez is saying. We're gonna try again, but this time I'm gonna stay up here with him. Please, if you cannot hear the sound, just let a sister know. Let a sister know. All right. So we're gonna do this, and hopefully we go. It could work out. Let's try this again.
Things that I really treasure with this whole experience is articulating what happened. My wife Bridget usually tells it a lot better, so I'm going to do my best. But what ended up happening was we started communicating online because I was doing work with the NAACP and she was doing some work for the Urban League. And so before we met up, we had very short conversations, and I find out that she's a designer. She finds out I'm an artist. In that whole period of time, I did not look at her page per se. I looked at some of her fashions later on, but I had no preconceived notion of what was going to end up happening. So what ended up happening was we met up based on the whole NAACP Urban League thing. We met at an IHOP. Our waitress was, her name was Reality. So that was something. And we spoke maybe about 10 minutes on Urban League stuff. And then right away we went into um, our interest, our signs, our, birthday, that sort of thing. And so one of the things we found out was we both loved Marvel comics. So initially that sit down wasn't a date. So what I did was to be slick is ask her what she was doing for New Year's Eve. And she had no plans on New Year's Eve. And she asked me if I had plans. And I said, well, I'm looking to get into something. And we both agreed that if one of us finds something to get into, we would do that. So our first date was 2018 going into 2019, New Year's Eve. We went to go see Aquaman. And we went to one of those theaters where you had the dinner and we watched the movie. And so it also gave us time to get to know each other in between, the trailer and so forth. And it was really beautiful. And so when the movie ended, we had maybe 20 minutes before New Year's Eve was going to hit. So there was a Cuban restaurant. We went upstairs to the Cuban restaurant and we ended up getting ginger ale because I found out that she doesn't partake in alcohol. And we toasted in the new year. And our first kiss was, it was like a kind of peck on the cheek. I think we were both trying to read each other out. But on our way back to the car, we ended up holding hands. It was raining, and so we had to get under the umbrella. And our first kiss took place under the umbrella in front of her car. And for me, that was very memorable, the whole date and the whole process, because I ended up marrying her. That whole experience was going into it. I really had no expectations to what was going to end up happening. That one so-called business meeting parlayed into a date, and then 2 years later, during COVID, actually, was it 2 years? Almost 2 years. But during COVID, we got married on my birthday, April 2nd, 2020. So that to me is very memorable because I ended up marrying that woman and had no clue that it was going to turn into that type of love connection.
Okay. All right. Come on now, y'all. Okay. That was the Aqua Connection. That was the absolute connection. And he went out on a date. First, it was work, right? Okay. So they met for the work thing. And then 2 years later, marriage. Now, how many of y'all have had a memory like that? You are watching The Art of Dating. Oh, yes. Oh, Kayla, I got to share that. Oh, I shared your beautiful story. Thank you so much, Kayla. And it was, right? Kayla, look, if you want to jump on this live and tell us about a beautiful time that you had, because I know you did, because I did ask you to be a part of this project and you turned me down. Yes, you did. But it's okay. It's all right. So, anyway, that was Cortez. I'm Duana Sharice. I'm giving you feel good news. One story at a time. One story at a time. We building connections so that you can think about something good that happened to you. Again, AOD. We are coming to you soon. There will be a live show. Live show coming soon. Stay tuned for details. Now, all of a sudden, I'm getting tongue twisted. Kayla, I'm coming for you. And my name is Duana Sharice. We be out.